goes along. This time I'd like to ask Reverend Dr. Josh Lale to come up. And Josh, thank you for being here. Josh is my pastor. He's Rex Ennis, pastor, Valdese First Baptist Church. And Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Let us pray. Eternal God, you are the source of all wisdom and goodness. We gather today in a spirit of unity and shared purpose, grateful for this opportunity to serve the community. Bless this council with wisdom and patience and integrity, and guide them in the conversations they have this evening. Help us all to listen, to lead with humility, and to act with courage. May all the voices in this room come together in harmony to produce something good that's equitable and good for all. Amen.
Let's pledge allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to introduce to you our new town manager. His name is Todd Herman. On April 25th, 2025, the Valdese Town Council initiated an extensive hiring process to select the best candidate to serve as the next town manager. Hiring a town manager is one of the most important decisions, the most important decision that a council can make, and impacts the effectiveness of the council and the services to the residents and businesses of the town. The town council is pleased to announce that William Todd Herms will serve as the next Valdese town manager. The council voted to appoint him, Mr. Herms, as the town manager at the special call meeting on April 25th, 2025. He is slated to begin position May 1st, 2025. Mr. Herms was selected from a competitive pool of applicants across the region and state. In the end, the council chose Herms due to a combination of his education, experience, and personal characteristics. Todd, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I've been in the region for going on 17 years. Valdese has always had a special place and high regard among managers in the region, and I'm just glad to step in and serve. I've heard nothing but great things about staff and moving forward as a town and an organization. So I'm just happy to be here and be a small part of it.
And if we as a council can ever help you, as Mayor Watts, he can help you, we certainly will. You call on us, and I know we call on you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Todd.
Yes, sir.
Council, the next item on the agenda is item number 4, reading materials. I hope all of you have read your materials and looked over them, as not quite as many as there have been in the past, but I hope you were able to read over and digest some of the materials that were done. This time we'll go to the open forum public comments, item number 5, and Councilman Ward, if you'll read the rules for that.
Open forum public comments. The council shall provide at least one period for public comment per month during a regular meeting, unless no regular is held that month. Any individual or group who wishes to address the council shall inform the clerk anytime prior to the start of the meeting and provide their name, address, and subject matter about which they wish to speak. Persons must be present if they wish to address the council. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Open forum is not intended to require council or staff to answer impromptu questions. Speakers will address all comments to the entire council as a whole and not one individual member. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be permitted. Speakers will maintain decorum at all times. Speakers are expected to be courteous and respectful at all times, regardless of who occupies council chairs. These guidelines will help to ensure that a safe and productive meeting is held and that all those wishing to address the council will be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, the first speaker will be Deputy Charles.
Thank you, Gary. Council members, I just wanted to express my appreciation for the wisdom that each council member has shown in selecting Todd for our new town manager. I've known Todd for a number of years. He is an outstanding young man. He is extremely intelligent. He has an outstanding record of management and of coordinating benefits for his employees, and he is a welcome addition to the town staff for the town of Valdese. And Todd, I wanted to say to you, welcome to Valdese. Thank you for taking this position, and we look forward to working with you. There's lots of citizens of Valdese that are anxious to be able to help you and the town succeed any way we can. So welcome. Thank you. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Sandra Walker.
Thank you, council members. My name is Sandra Walker, 124 Main Street West in Valdese, and I'm here tonight representing the Merchants Advisory Committee that the council established last year. And we've been working very hard. One of our projects that we had started to help out with the town not having music during the Friday nights in May, we had discussed doing something to kind of have something going on in May. And the project that we had first scheduled, the gentleman that was heading that up had some extremely severe health issues, and as a matter of fact, had to have surgery this past week, but he's recovering well. And we had to, at the last minute, change and do something else. So Miss Smarty Pants here, the girl with the hat, suggested bingo. Who likes bingo? Nobody, right. Anyway, so I said this is something we could put together quickly and have activities going on. And with bingo, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So since Miss Smarty Pants had the idea to do it, guess who got to put everything together? Anyway, but I was happy to do it. I've had a wonderful time, and I appreciate the support of our committee members. And you've got in your packets a copy of the flyer, and I apologize, there are some mistakes in there. I have corrected copies, and Rexana, please don't grade me on this. But anyway, I've got right now what we were doing with the bingo. It's called Beach Bingo, which sit on a blanket in Temple Field, and just families get together. All these businesses that you see listed here will have bingo cards to give out free. This is to drive the people or traffic or business into the businesses. So that's one plus for the businesses. They get more exposure. The businesses also are participating in giving out gift certificates or items from their stores to be given as prizes for the bingo, another incentive. And today, Eddie Jolly and I at WSVM recorded a radio commercial, and it's going to be just covering the airwaves from WSVM to promote the bingo, and we'll be listing. We have different blocks of commercials listing all the different businesses. If you'll notice, there's 2 blank places on here. I've got 30 businesses. There's 2 more that's supposed to let me know tomorrow, so I'll have 30 businesses in Valdese that are part of this. I am so pleased at the participation and excitement that the businesses have expressed in being part of this event, and hopefully down the road we hope we can do some more things to involve the businesses. And I sure hope that, council, this is what you wanted our committee to do. I hope that we're fulfilling the mission and that you
the reason that you established this. And it's just our honor to be working with the town and putting things together like this. What we'll do, we're gonna have food, as you see. We've got 8 restaurants in Valdese proper. Each Friday night, we're gonna be doing, I think there's a couple of them on here that said they couldn't, but they'd hand out cards. But we will have 2 of our restaurants setting up on the field and selling food that night. Plus, the merchants have been invited to bring some of their stuff and set up around the field and sell or promote their business. And I think I've not had anybody say, no, I don't want to do that. It's been a wonderful group effort, and I certainly appreciate the town's support. I've talked to Marissa, and she's helping us with it. And Marissa, thank you for all your support as well, and Jessica and everybody that's helped us. We just look forward to having a whole lot of fun. Eddie and I'll be doing the calling and providing a little bit of music for you, some beach music for the atmosphere. So all of you are invited. I've got tickets, or I've got bingo cards for you, so come and join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. The next item on the agenda is our consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Pro Tem, may I add an item to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
I move that we add an item entitled, sorry, short title, I don't want to get it right, Resolution of Appreciation. I don't know, does that need a second?
Yeah, we'll need a second, we'll need to vote.
Okay, is there a motion that we add that?
I move that move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, so moves. It will be added to our agenda tonight, is that correct?
You'll need to call for a vote.
Yeah, let's call for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand and say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed, none. Do we need to do that now?
Councilman Harvey, would you like that to take place as a new agenda or new business item at the end of the new business?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Councilman Harvey?
Proceed with consent now. You'll proceed with your consent.
Okay. All right, council, you see the consent agenda under item number 6. I'd like to ask for approval from council members to, or anybody that would like to pull anything from this agenda, the consent agenda. If not, I need a motion to approve it and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say yes.
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 Okay, so moved. Okay, Councilman Harvey, under new business, let's do your resolution at this time.
What's I'm gonna do at the end?
Well, we can do it at the end or we can do it now, right?
Let's do it at the end if you don't mind.
Okay, that'll be fine. Okay. Okay, under new business, approval of award of bid aerators at the wastewater treatment plant presented by R.J. Mosley, McGill and Associates. I don't think R.J.'s here, is he, both?
No.
So you're gonna be presenting for them both?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I talked about this last week, but just to get everybody an update, this is the 3 aerators at the wastewater treatment plant that we put in the CIP budget for this current budget we're in. So we had budgeted $900,000 for this project. This was to replace the equipment, electrical systems for each of those aerators. So if you recall at last week's meeting, we talked about we had a bid opening. We only had 1 bid come in because it's a formal bid, so we had to rebid. So since that meeting, we did have a rebid for that. We had 2 bidders this time. Both bids came in over budget, okay? So under state bidding laws, we can go to the lowest bidder and try to negotiate some changes in the design of the project to try to get under budget. So we requested McGill to do that on behalf of the town. They were successful at that without changing the scope of the project. The low bidder actually came back and said that they would lower their bid to meet our budget numbers. So you'll see in the packet here, the bid was for, the low bidder was $983,000, and so they've lowered their bid to $898,000 to be under our $900,000 bid, or our budget. So that's where we're at on that project, and so now we just need to take the next step and award that bid to SPX Flow for the 3 aerators. And that project's gonna take about probably a year to do, so it's gonna flow into next budget year, but we'll roll those monies over to make sure that works.
Now, this money's already in this year's budget.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And I think I read somewhere that you had saved us $85,000 on that too. Is that?
Well, yeah, when we negotiated down, that,
Right.
they negotiated that price down, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good. Okay, council, do you need a motion to approve this? Award the bid to SPX Flow in the amount of $898,000 with the contract award contingent to the town attorney review. Council need a motion?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say yes.
Yes.
So carries. I think, Bo, you've got, item B under 7 also about the Valdese Bluff sewer line bid results.
Well, yep, so this is, no action really on the bid results themselves tonight. This was more of a discussion, so the bids did come back on this project, so we'll just take a step back to a couple years. Remember, we got the ARPA funding for this project of $800,000. That was around the time COVID was happening, so we didn't have, the prices and construction have increased since then, right? So we got the project designed, we went out for bid, the bids have come back, and the project's about $1.57 million. So we're about $700-some thousand short on this project. The county was going to maybe go in half with us on this, but the developer has not really guaranteed a security level that the county is comfortable with. So we're looking at maybe not having their support on this now, which means we've got a decision to make on the remainder, $700,000 for the rest of that project. So remember, this is just a sewer line extension. Doesn't have anything to do with water. It's just a sewer line to get to this subdivision. The subdivision is proposed to have 150 lots, somewhere in there. But what the security of the developer offered to us was to develop 20 of those lots over a 4-year period. So if you think about the tax value on that, it's about $6 million in valuation based on market rate housing that he's planning on building. That's only about $25,000 a year in tax revenue. So to invest $700,000 out of our utility reserves for that kind of return, we may not want to pursue that. So we also got an issue with the $800,000 because we have to spend that by the end of December of 2026, because that's the ARPA funding that was appropriated for this project. So if we don't spend that, that has to go back to the county. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so, and if you'll recall, the project is up near Drawn High School. So up Lovelady, and it's gonna be next to Drawn is where it would be proposed. So just need, the bids expire June 5th, so if we don't take action tonight on those bids, they'll expire. Then we need to reevaluate how we're gonna handle this. One way that we could handle this, since we don't want to forfeit $800,000, we could have McGill go back to the low bidder. In this case, it's Iron Mountain Construction, and we could ask them to see what they can do for the project for $800,000. So we'll do as much as we can. We'll use up those funds. At that point, we will stop the project. Either the developer can take over and finish it out, or we can leave it sit and maybe a new developer will come in, or we'll find some more state funding, some funding sources in the future to finish it out. We just don't want to lose out on this funding from the state if we don't have to. But we do need to get moving on the project in order to spend those funds in the next year. So that's kind of where we're at on this project right now. $700,000 short, but maybe we proceed with what we have and get done what we can. And that's contingent on McGill being able to negotiate with Iron Mountain to develop the project to where it can be at a place where we can leave it sit for a little bit. So we're just looking for a council direction on that.
Could I ask for clarification on 2 or 3 points? What is the actual amount of the low bid that we have?
So the low bid is just under 1.3 million. And
It's
then,
under 1.3 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
and then you've got engineering, design. We got to pay Duke to move some power extent poles and stuff like that. So all that adds up to a construction cost of 1.57 million.
1.57?
Yes, that would be a total package.
So, and the ARPA grant we have is for 801,000?
Correct.
So we're really almost $800,000 short then, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, well, 3 things really. Second thing is, the ARPA funds, we have to spend them by December 2026,
Yes.
or what?
Or we have to send them back to the state.
Send them back? Okay.
Yeah.
Do they go back into a pool where we can get another shot at them?
No, the state has to send them back to the federal government at that point.
All right, so they go back where all ARPA funds go, they get pulled back to the
Yep.
spend. All right. Final question, when does this bid with this contractor end?
It expires June 5th.
June 6th, all right.
June 5th.
All right, in that, just, I wanted to clarify those 3 points. And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I really think that we need to take action tonight that will let us take action, clear action at the next meeting, which is on June 2, and that's before this bid will expire. I move to resolve that, I move that the town manager explore all possibilities to take full advantage of the ARPA grant within the current bid and bring a proposal to the council in June to consider doing as much of the sewer line as possible without committing town funds at this stage. That's my motion.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. If you're in favor of this motion and second, please raise your hand.
Excuse me, a comment on it, please.
Okay.
All right. Just want to underline or emphasize, this developer, this project came about, we heard about it about a year ago when the planning director set up a meeting with the county manager and the now chairman of the county commissioners, and the county manager, and I think our planning director had met with the developer, and they had this proposal in which the county was going to contribute towards the sewer line that would result in economic growth for Valdese and all these housing units. And the representations that the developer was making at that time sounded great, except quite frankly, when I looked at the plot plan, I didn't think it was going to work. But my opinion aside, what has happened now is that the county is not offering to cover any of this cost. The developer is not offering to cover any of this cost. And in fact, the developer is not even offering any kind of a guarantee that he'll ever do anything with a subdivision. And he's ensuring his warranty that he would not have to do anything by offering the town 20 lots if he doesn't do anything. That means that our 1/4 acre lots, that means that the town would get 5 acres if he does nothing. I mean, if he does nothing, that means the town would get 5 acres of wooded, undeveloped land in the middle of a forest. Landlocked at that. So that's why I feel it's important to do whatever we can to salvage, to save these ARPA funds, get a half of a sewer line to somewhere for some developer to pick it up and finish it and develop those 100 and some acres at some time in the future.
Yes, and I would also like to see Mr. Hearns come in contact with our county manager, our chairman of the county commission, and just touch base with them and see where they are and how they can help us on this. At one time, they said they were gonna help us. Now they're saying they're not. So,
Yeah, I've been in constant communication with Mr. Epley about this, and what they're looking for from the developer is more security interest in the project so that they can be covered if the developer doesn't come through, and developer's just not offering enough of what they need for that.
so that's the county's holdback.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, council, we have a motion and a second on the floor that move that the town manager explore all possibilities to take full advantage of the ARPA grant within the current bid and bring a proposal to council in June to consider doing as much of the sewer line as possible without committing town funds at this page. All in favor, please raise your hand and say yes.
Yes.
Okay, none opposed. So carries. Okay. Going to section C, or letter C, under new business, item 7. Fiscal year 24-25 year-to-date financial results. Bo, you're up.
All right, so for this one, we got a report from July through March, 75% of the budget year. So that's a milestone that we look at more in depth here. If we look at general fund ad valorem tax revenues, we collected 2.23 million so far. We've got 41,000 remaining to be collected. I have seen the numbers for April already. Of course, report was put together before April finished, but we've collected most of that 41,000 already, so we're doing good on that. Sales tax revenue, that's the tax you pay when you purchase items and goods within the county. So we're right on track with that, trending slightly under maybe 68%, but we'll see that come up as springtime numbers start hitting in April. Something we talked about last time, interest earned on idle funds, 239% over what we budgeted. That's because, one, interest rate stayed higher than we had conservatively estimated, and we've got some funds sitting idle that we haven't used yet. So those are earning interest as we wait to use those funds. Looking at the utility fund, water and sewer department had some vacancies, so their salary line and associated insurance and things like personnel expenses are a little low. What I will point your attention, though, based on what we talked about last meeting, I added a couple pages here at the end to show the fund accounts that we have. So when we talk about total fund balance, we hear what general fund has is unassigned, but there's also project accounts that make up that total fund balance, right? So when we go scroll down, it has all those accounts in there, and it'll show the cash balances for those accounts. So it would take a longer discussion than I go through all this, but this just shows everything that we've got going on. And I also included a couple pages out of the audit because that's where some other funds, such as reserved accounts, the stabilization by state statute, which is a reserve on our funds, that's a state formula that we use. So all that's shown in there alongside our unassigned fund balance. And also, the last page is for the proprietary fund, which is our water and sewer fund, and that shows where our restricted funds are. So that's kind of what's all within that report there.
But could you explain to me what a trial balance report is?
Sure, trial balance it's just a snapshot of the general ledger accounts that we report on. So it just shows what's going on in that account at that particular time.
When I read it, I just
Yeah,
didn't know what it was.
It's just it's a report that auditors use.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, we talked previously about inviting the auditors here to do a in-depth discussion about this. So that's something that we could consider again in the future if we want to get more in-depth on all this. But, of course, we're starting, you know, June 30th. It's coming to a close here soon. So we're going to be kicking off audit season again. We'll have a new audit here this fall.
Yeah, this forecast is getting near the end of the year, and on the trial balancing, we've been asking for a lot of detail about the various funds, and we got a lot of detail on the funds with our agenda packet. The trial balance, most of the agenda packet this time is financial information, about 93 pages of it. And the trial balance that Councilman Ogle asked about is 56 pages of those 93. Tremendous detail, and when we, as council members, sort through that, we're gonna have, we gotta get some kind of certificate of, on municipality finances, because it's gonna it sheds full light, a lot of light on the town's finances. On the highlights to me of this forecast to date is that we look at where the revenue items are above what was budgeted already. By the way, I have a question. We have one of the columns here is estimated revenue. I assume that, well, that means the budget for the year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
first
That's
one,
what that's the adopted budget.
Okay. I want to make sure I was subtracting from the right number. All right. So the big item he mentioned was interest income, which is $338,000 more than was budgeted. And then there were some others. And on the general fund, I added up to at least $385,000 more revenue than was budgeted. And then on the utilities fund, I added up about $89,000 of revenue that was more than was budgeted. I had three questions about possible additional revenue. One is on near the bottom of your general fund revenue is an item that says fund balance appropriated, and we budgeted 306. Let's see, we budgeted, 306, and it looks like it's gonna end up about 61,000. What is, could you explain what that is?
Yeah, so this account can get a little confusing. So fund balance appropriated, it serves several different purposes. So we use that when we adopt the budget. If we're gonna be short, we can pull from fund balance appropriated, which is our fund balance, to balance the budget. Or if we have an excess of revenues, we can put it back in the fund balance appropriated. Also, fund balance appropriated is the account that we use when we do budget amendments throughout the year. When we doing like the gutter repair on the rec center or the flooding damage that we had. So that's where we pull those funds. So the 306,082 that you see on there, that wasn't the original adopted budget, that's the amendments throughout the year. Okay. And so that's kind of a moving number there, yeah.
And then we have applied for some reimbursement from FEMA for cleaning up after Hurricane Helene. Could you fill us in on where all of that stands?
Yeah, so for general fund, we've gotten all our funds back from FEMA. And so we pulled that out of fund balance appropriated, that line. So it's gone back in there, okay? And same on the general, or the utility fund side, utility fund has its own fund balance appropriated. So when we did those repairs, it pulled from that. And as we're getting those funds in, we've gotten about, I'd say half of what we spent so far. We're still working on some bigger project at the water plant. We're waiting for some products to come in. But from what we spent on FEMA funds, we've gotten about half of those back. So general fund's made in whole now, and then utility fund, they're waiting on some more invoices to come in. But
How much would that help to the general fund, to the utility fund reserves?
Well, it wouldn't necessarily help because we already took it out of fund balance, so all we're doing is replacing it as it comes in. So right now, it's gonna show less fund balance than what we had, and then it's just a one-for-one replacement. It wouldn't be additional revenue coming in.
All right, and then there's the elephant in the room, which is known as the North Carolina ADA $500,000 grant for a pool cover. Could you fill us in on the latest on that?
Yeah, so I spoke to them about a week ago. I've got a verbal commitment that they're going to go ahead and approve the changes that we sent a request letter in, asking them graciously to change the scope of the project from a permanent structure to the dome air inflated structure. So they had to take it back to their people. I did talk to the director about a week ago, and she confirmed that they're gonna go ahead and approve those changes. They actually talked to Eden Domes about it, got some reassurances from them. So it's right now just a paperwork process. They use a DocuSign, so it's going through several different people before it gets to us to sign off on. But once we get that documentation, then I'll be doing a budget amendment to adjust the amendment that we made for the pole dome. Remember, we pulled 700-some thousand out of fund balance to cover that project recently. So we're gonna adjust that once we get confirmation, the documents on that. So that we'll end up only pulling about 200-some thousand for that project.
So that's $500,000 that would go back, return back into the.
Yeah, it's 500,000 we don't have to spend out of fund balance, yep.
Any other discussions or questions for Bo? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to letter D, consideration of fiscal year budget workshop follow-up resolution. Councilman Harvey, I think that's you.
I asked to have that put on the agenda some days back, a week or so back. We're on 7D, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that was before we hired a town manager, but regardless, I think it's still, the motion I had in mind, I think is still appropriate, because there's an important point, budgeting point, that I'd like to make clear that I did not understand until I came onto the council. I think a lot of citizens don't understand the term of balanced budget as it's applied to municipalities. And I've read in a local newspaper after our last meeting that it was misused. A balanced budget in our household and in our business means we're gonna spend what we take in, right? We're gonna earn what we spend. We're gonna earn as much as we spend. That's a balanced budget, you know, in our lives, in my life, in my career. In a municipality, though, there's a hedge there, and that is municipalities, the state mandates every municipality must have a balanced budget, must adopt a balanced budget. That's absolute. But the way municipalities can balance them is to pull funds out of the reserves and contribute them, and we were talking about that a little bit ago with the forecast. You can pull those money out of the reserves and make a contribution and you call it revenue, but it's not really revenue, you're just borrowing it out of, taking it out of one pocket and putting it into the budget. So a balanced town budget doesn't mean anything, except they all have to be zero. But the budget that our interim manager and chief financial officer brought to us in April at our workshop was a budget that was not only balanced, but it made a positive contribution to the town reserves. So we want to stay there, and we want to assure citizens we're going to stay there. So the motion, I therefore move that to resolve that the draft of the 25-26 fiscal year budget that will be finalized on May 12 or soon thereafter and adopted on June 2 will include a positive contribution to the general fund reserves.
We can take that motion now, is that correct? The motion's been made to move to resolve that the draft of the fiscal year 25-26 fiscal year budget that will be finalized on May 12th and adopted on June 2nd will include a positive contribution to the general fund reserve. Yeah, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, raise your
Now,
right.
I should maybe just comment again. I think I said all that needs to be said, but the mover does have the first right to speak under parliamentary rule, which we follow. But again, I just want to reaffirm that citizens who are watching and fellow council members, we have set the guideline early in the year that the tax rate this year would be the same as it was in 2024. And our chief financial officer, finance director, brought us back a budget draft initially, right off the bat, that made a positive contribution to the general fund reserves, and that we want to assure everybody that the one that we're going to adopt on June 2nd will do the same, which it would not if we had put $700-some thousand into that sewer line. That would have come right out of the reserves, so out of next year's reserve. So that's it. I know. I just think it would be a good idea for us to reaffirm the direction we're going, and that we'll end up there on June 2.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Council, any other discussion?
Bo, we did this last year. Did we take positive contributions into the reserves?
Last year, I'm trying to remember what we did. I think we ended up pulling some out of reserves to balance the budget last year.
Okay.
If I remember, it wasn't a whole lot, but it was.
Excuse me, I brushed up on that one.
Okay.
That's an interesting thing. Last year, I'm sorry, you're asking about you talking about the current year's budget that we adopted last year? Or you asked?
Last year's budget.
The current one we're in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
current one we're in.
Current one we're in.
Yeah.
The current one we're in, when we adopted it, had a positive contribution to reserves. During the year, we dipped into that, but
We had a positive contribution.
all indications are it's got to make a significant contribution to the reserves this year. And Bo will have the numbers pretty quickly, but.
Okay, council, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I thought Bo was still looking.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
looking.
you still looking?
Yeah, if it'll
Okay.
load here. I can tell you real quick I wasn't prepared for this question, so hold on. All right. So last year, the balanced budget had 23,757 going back into reserves. Yep. So,
council, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Bo, anything else you have to say?
Nope,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, raise your right hand and say yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving to item E, under number 7, consideration of policy guidelines for citizen and public access to community center facilities. Okay, Councilman Harvey, I think that's you also.
Yes. I'd prefer not to always be the one called on, but on the other hand, this motion that I'm going to make is in response to citizens who have been continuously asking council members to make sure that we get full return on our investment in our community activities, and also from visitors who come to Valdese and find that our art gallery is closed on Saturdays, on the days when they come to town. So I move that effective no later than June 1, 2025, the Old Rock School Cultural Center and the town's recreation center be open to citizens and visitors on the same days, and that a tourism office be open during all special events promoted for attendance.
Okay. Council, you have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Okay.
Well, as the mover, yes. We have a community affairs budget of approaching $750,000. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to promote tourism to Valdese. We spent about over $1.5 million last year renovating the Old Rock School. It may have the best auditorium in Burke County, and we have a lot of special events there. We bring people from all over, from the county and beyond, to these events. And we have citizens who have donated significant funds to the Rock School Arts Foundation. And we have a lot of volunteers who work to make it an art gallery that's to be proud of. We have artists who bring their shows, and every month there's a new show opening at the Old Rock School art galleries. But it's not open on Saturdays. And, you know, if you travel around, as I did on business, and my wife always went with me frequently, on Saturdays she always dragged me to the local art galleries, all of which were open on Saturday. But Valdese stands out, and it's one of the few art galleries, if any, maybe the only one, that is closed on Saturday. And then we have thousands of people, literally thousands of people, coming through the Old Rock School to special performances in this great auditorium we have. They all have to file past our tourism office, but it's closed. It's closed on Saturdays, it's closed evenings, it's closed Sundays. So the purpose of this motion is to bring us in tune with the rest of the world, with the Trail of Faith, which is a tourist attraction that is open on Saturdays, especially during the summer. The Valdese Museum, which is open on Saturdays. You know, that's why I made this motion. I'm glad it's got seconded. I'm glad I had an opportunity to elaborate on it a little bit. And I certainly hope that everybody feels the same way and that we can maximize all the tax dollars that we put into the Old Rock School.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
This is an area that should be turned over to our new town manager. It is the town manager's job to decide these issues, and I think we have a brand-new guy here, and he is very well-schooled in what needs to be done, and I would say that this should be something that Mr. Herm should study and decide. He should talk to all parties involved, with the Trail of Faith, with the Waldese Museum, with the Rock School Arts Foundation, with the Community Affairs Department, and make the decision as to what hours they should be. I do not think it is the job of this council to be doing that kind of management. That is not our job. That is the job of the town manager.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I adamantly take the position that this is indeed a town council responsibility to have town facilities that citizens who elected us are funding open to those citizens. It's not the town manager's job or responsibility to close things down or decide whether they're going to be open or closed. I absolutely agree. It's the town manager's job to decide how to have them open, how to staff them, whether to staff them, whether to find another solution. That's the town manager's job. But it's the council's job it's council's responsibility to have this huge investment that our taxpayers have made open to the public. Let's maximize it. We had a little bit of a hurdle to get over for the council to decide what day we're going to celebrate Independence Day. I mean, that used to be decided by the staff. The council has decided it's going to be on July 4th, like the rest of the nation. But this simply says, we have our recreation center open on Saturdays and some holidays. Let's have our cultural center open as well. Some people like to look at art instead of going swimming or exercising. So it's the council's responsibility. It's a town asset. We're responsible for it. The manager's certainly responsible for how it's staffed, implemented, or he always has the option of coming back and saying, well, we just know way we can do this. That's up to him as well.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to point out it's similar to what Councilman Lohman has suggested, and perhaps Mr. Harvey, Councilman Harvey, has also said it in his remarks, but I think that the Old Rock School is open a number of Saturdays through the year for all kinds, variety of activities, and there are opportunities for visitors, tourists, citizens, whomever, to go into the school to visit those galleries. So I don't think the fact that the hours say closed on Saturday, there's opportunities throughout the year for that to be visited. And I think our new town manager, once he goes out and speaks and sees folks, will learn a lot and understand, how folks are visiting, because I think in this day and age, a lot of folks, when they're going to plan a visit to Valdese, will look up on the computer and find out what hours and know where things are open. People don't tour the way we've toured in the past. So I think that's why our tourism office is arranged and developed the way it is. So I think that's an important piece. And there are different times of the year that the Trail of Faith and the Waldese Museum are open. They're not open every Saturday of the year. There's just special times. So I think through those conversations that the town manager could have, if we need to think about opening other days or having the tourism office open during a particular summer months, maybe when tourism is a little higher, that may be appropriate. But I agree that I think it should be the town manager reviewing that. And I'm not in favor of doing something by June 1st, having anything in place by then.
I again say it's the council's responsibility to have town facilities open. It's the manager's responsibility to staff them, even recommend whatever schedule he thinks is practical. But it's our responsibility to open them up. They haven't been open for years. They've been shut down. So, and they're rarely open on the Old Rock School. The Arts Gallery is rarely open on Saturdays, rarely. And it conflicts with the rest of the world. I've heard restaurant people tell me stories about people who said, I took off yesterday, took off work, and I got a hotel in Morganton because, or in Valdese, of course, because I read about all these great things in Valdese, and I came to see them, and it was closed. So, I mean, that was probably a time in the winter when everything was closed, but at least our tourism office ought to be closed. I found a guy who was sitting up there one day at lunchtime, waiting for the tourism office to open to see if he could get a map of the town. So, at any rate, I've commented on it twice. I don't know how I can say it any more clearly than that. I'm ready to vote on it whenever we're done, but I would like a roll call vote because I think we need to go on record on this one.
So, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
I am forever gonna be the one in the middle. Just call me the purple party. I do think we may need to hold off from June 1st. We need to look in to I think we need personally to table it until, August. And August would be our next actual, is that, no, June do we, June we have one. And then, okay. I do feel like we need to table it until June, talk to Mr. Herms about it. I do know that in the towns that I have visited, because I travel a lot throughout North Carolina, last week, and I'm one of those travelers, I just go down the road. If I see something cool, I'll pull off. I found the world's largest pork display last week because I'm just driving down the road, I see something cool. I don't take time to look on my computer. I just pull off and say, let's go on an adventure. So I learn a lot about towns through their tourism offices. I did speak to several last week, several leaders in towns, and then I stopped in a few towns. Their hours are modified on Saturdays. It's not a full day. They do like 9 to 12. They do 10 to 3. They also don't have normally their regular staff doing it. They'll either have volunteers come in or they will have a part-time staff that is there. A concern that I've heard, there are some people who volunteer at the Rock School. They are making sure that they're not going to be involved in having to be there every Saturday. I told them, in my opinion, if you're a volunteer, you should not have to be there. That's your oyster. You do what you want to with it. So, yes, so that's how I feel about it. I feel like we need to table it. I know we're going to have a vote right now, but I'm going to go ahead and say we need to table it until June till we have some time to actually look at this and find out how we would staff it. And make sure, I do see the benefit of having it open on Saturday. I do feel like our town does need to have it open, so you'll have to help me how I would table it and what.
So a formal motion would just be a motion to table until the next regular meeting.
Okay. And I could do that now, so
You can
we
do
could.
that now.
Okay. I would like to table this discussion until our June meeting.
Okay, I'll second. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of?
What, was it seconded?
Yeah, was it seconded?
You second
You
it.
second.
I seconded it, yeah, I seconded, yeah. Okay,
It's weird playing two different roles.
Well, let's have a roll call vote. Yeah, I do have some discussion, I just comment. We've had this problem in Valdese ever since I came here 18 years ago. Kicking it down the road another month, I don't get the point, I don't get that. We talked about it last Monday. It's this motion, I've shared it with the council members ahead of time. Nobody had anything to say about any of these motions until we get into a public meeting. So let's just, there's nothing here about hours, there's nothing here about staffing. It simply says, starting June 1, these 2 community centers we have will be open on the same days. Well, certainly I would expect our new manager to work out a plan for that, but, if somebody's gotta be a bad guy for making the Old Rock School open on Saturdays or making tourism's office open, let's not make him the bad guy. I take the heat on these things all the time, so I'm willing to take the heat if we need it, if that's what we're looking for. But let's not kick the can down the road. Let's not pass the hot potato to the manager. Let's just make a decision tonight. We either do this or not. And so, You got a motion and a second to table
To
it?
table it, yes. All right.
Roll call on the
Any
table.
other discussion?
I think the biggest thing is giving our manager like a month to at least adjust to his office and then be able to effectively look, because I do want it open on Saturdays. I will go ahead and make that clear. I do feel like it is needed, but I do want to give our manager a month to get acclimated to it with the budget and everything else going on. I know it's gonna be a lot. Just give him a chance, and then he can effectively look at how we need to staff that position.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this until the June meeting. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. Councilwoman Zimmerman?
I'm sorry,
It's to table it.
yes, to table, yes, to table.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yes,
No?
Yes.
okay, motion carries. Will be tabled until the June, is it June 5th, I think?
Second.
June
June
2nd.
second.
June 2nd, I'm sorry.
It's my anniversary.
Today's
It's
the
easier to
5th.
remember.
Okay, so that is tabled until June 5th, the consideration of policy guidelines for community service facilities.
And that'll be June 2nd.
Do what?
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moving right along. Letter F, Roman numeral I, Public Safety Building Update, Bo.
All right, so on this one, as you recall, the review panel had selected 3 contractors to interview. They did those interviews, and now we've got a second round of interviews for council to do, and that's gonna be May 22nd, and we're gonna start at 9 in the morning, and we'll interview those 3 firms. If you recall, those firms are Wharton Smith and Moss Marlowe and DR
Horton. D.R. Horton.
D.R. Horton, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
All right, Roman numeral II, Water Plant Upgrade Project, Lenore Interconnect Project. Bo.
Yeah, so when RJ with McGill was here, he kind of expanded on this, so there's really no updates on that one. We are going through the water filter right now, doing that exploratory investigation, so that process that council approved last month's meeting, I think. So that's in progress right now.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that. When will that start? When can we expect that to be underway?
The big project?
Yeah,
So it has already started as far as design process.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving pieces with this project because we got another partner in this in Lenore. So part of what we're doing is contingent on what they're doing. So fortunately, we have McGill doing our design work. They also have McGill doing their design work. So that's gonna make things a little more fluid for us. But where they're gonna put that water line underneath the river, where they're going to have their pump station, is all gonna be contingent on what kind of projects we focus on at the plant, what equipment we need to upgrade to make sure all that happens. So it's continuous process, but there's a lot of back and forth trying to coordinate things. But I would think that we're gonna probably go out for bid, from what I was talking to McGill, probably this fall is what I think what the target is.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else on that one, Bo?
Nope.
Okay, item 3, Roman numeral III, Recreation Center, ADA and pool cover, Bo.
Okay, so let's look at these as 2 separate projects. So the ADA work is required by the grant, if you recall. That work is being done by Moss Marlowe. They started that already. So they're taking the awning down in front of the community center, putting some ramps in. They're gonna go over to the tennis court areas, put ramps over there. So they're doing a lot of the demo work until they can get the concrete contractor in to do the concrete. As far as the actual dome work, the site work for that,
Excuse me, Lou.
Uh-huh.
The ADA work's being done by whom?
by Hauk. Did I say Moss Marlowe?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, by Hauk. Yeah, thanks for catching that. So Moss Marlowe is doing the site work for the dome, and Hauk is doing the ADA. As far as the site work starting, and talking to Yeadon about this, it's best if we go ahead and get everything staged and ready to go, but we don't want to interrupt summer swimming. So once the kids go back to school, everything be ready to go. So you won't really see much progress out there. Behind the scenes, there's progress being made on this. Materials are being ordered, designs are being finalized. But as far as the actual visual stuff, we're gonna have to wait till end of August, September before we start seeing activity out there on that portion of the work. So we're gonna leave summer swimming as open best we can, and then they'll get started on that. And the goal is still to be open somewhere between that first and second week of October. Okay.
Okay, this time we had a resolution brought up by Mr. Harvey to add to our agenda. Mr. Harvey?
I move to resolve that the 2025 Valdese Town Council express its appreciation to Bo Daniel Weichel with a plaque acknowledging his outstanding service as interim town manager from August 23, 2024 through May 1, 2025. During this special assignment, he made significant contributions, enabling the Valdese Town Council to make policy decisions in the town's best interest. He exceeded the council's expectations for his extra assignment through extraordinary initiative, hours, and efforts, while fulfilling his regular responsibilities as assistant manager and chief financial officer.
Is that in the form of a motion, Mr. Harvey?
Yes, it
Councilman
is.
Harvey? Okay.
So
I have a
moved.
motion. Is there a second?
She said,
Heather, did you second?
yes.
Okay. All right, any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand and say yes.
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 Okay, so carries. All right. Bo, you or Mr. Herms, or both of you, are ready to do the manager's report?
Well, I just want to say I appreciate, it was a pleasure serving as your interim manager, and still look forward to getting to work with all of you, so, but I do appreciate that.
Well, you know, we all appreciate you, Bo, and what you have done for the town of Valdese during your interim, and even before the interim work. I know how hard you work, and we all, as a council, appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go into the manager's report here. Let's see. So update on the sale of property located at 800 Pine Burr. So if you'll recall, that's in the upset bid process right now. We did get a recent upset bid, so the amount right now on that property, the offer that we have is $148,378.25.
148, did you say?
Yeah, 148,378.25.
And that's up from what, the original bid?
The original bid was, I think, it was the tax value, was like 130,000 or something like
139
that.
or something, I think.
Something like that, yeah. So we've had a couple upset bids. They keep upsetting the minimum amount required, so, this one,
Good.
yeah, this one will, be advertised in Saturday's paper. Is that right? Okay. In Saturday's paper. And so that'll be open for 10 days. It'll be available to be upset bid again. If it does not get upset bid, then it would be on the June agenda for consideration of sale.
Okay.
If it does get upset bid again, then we'll run out of time and it'll have to be pushed off until the next meeting.
Now, there's 10 days for an upset bid, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
so-
when did this bid come in?
Well, it came in a couple days ago, but it was still within that 10. So we got to fulfill that first 10-day period,
Okay.
and then it resets the clock.
So possibly we could do this at the June council meeting, is that correct?
If we, yeah, we could probably get one more upset bid and still get it on a June 2nd meeting.
Okay.
If that one gets upset, then it would have to be pushed off to the next council
Okay.
meeting, yeah.
Let me, if I may, let me just make sure we have these dates correct, clear to everybody, because I actually had an inquiry from from somebody today who, a developer who didn't even realize it was for sale. So the latest bid is, if it's still 148, will be advertised on Saturday, May 10,
Correct.
right? And then bidders have 10 days to upset that, which would be through May 25th, right?
Yeah, it's the 15th, I'm not sure if Saturday's the 15th, but
10
it'd be 10
days
days, yeah.
from the 10th.
Is that 10 business days or 10 days?
It would be 10 calendar days.
Calendar.
10 calendar, okay, so May 25th, we might get another bid. And then if we get another upset bid by the 25th, a higher bid, it'll be advertised again.
Right. It'll be advertised, and, well, we can't advertise it till the paper can, which is on Saturdays. So, because it's got to be advertised in a local news article. So, because they don't run a newspaper every day, it would have, you got a gap there.
Is it only in the newspapers one day, or is it in several days each time?
It runs for all 10, or one day? One day.
One
Runs
day.
One day, yeah.
All right. So we should see it on May 10 in one of the two newspapers. Will it be in both of them or just one of them?
Just one, yeah. We only have to advertise in one. It gets costly to do both. Yeah.
Hopefully some developers are listening tonight and they're sharpening their pencils.
Okay, Bev, go ahead, item B.
Okay, the Granville Moreau Fun Fish Day is scheduled for Saturday, May 10th at 9 o'clock at McGalliard Falls. If there is rain that day, then the backup date would be May 17th. Our budget review number 2 is scheduled for Monday, May 12th at 9 a.m. here in the council chambers. The public safety building contractor presentations, that's the RFQ stuff we talked about earlier, is going to be Thursday, May 22nd, starting at 9 o'clock. The town offices are closed May 26th for Memorial Day. Our next agenda review meeting is Tuesday, May 27th at 6 p.m. And then followed up by the regular council meeting on Monday, June 2nd. That's all in the report.
Okay, council, any further comments or questions or anything that you would have under item for number 9?
Does anybody have an update on the Weaver Mill project? Tim Swanson or anybody?
I don't have any updates on that project.
Okay, so we haven't talked to anybody at all?
I have not.
Okay.
I have a little bit of information, and that is that in connection with the inquiry today about the Pine Bur Avenue property, that person said they have left some phone messages with Northwestern Housing Enterprises, Inc., and got no returns. So, whatever that means.
Anyone else?
I've had an inquiry regarding street paving. Could somebody, I don't know, Bo, if you could give an update just on where we stand moving forward with that, maybe into just any update?
Yeah, so last we discussed this, the plan was to move forward with the DOT as that partnership. That was right before a hurricane hit. So they are focused on Western North Carolina. I talked to the District 13 engineer about this about a month ago to find out where we're at in that process. And currently, they do not have a paving contract in Burke County, is what he told me. So the one that we were looking at last fall, that paving contractor fulfilled that contract. So in order to get a new contract, they have to go out for bids and do the whole process over again. They are not really concerned with that right now as far as getting a new paving contract. They're focused on the counties west of us. So I've got his contact information. He's supposed to contact me when they do proceed with that. and let us know, then we'd have to go through the whole process again with them as far as getting quotes on what portion that they would do and things like that. We are still in this budget that we're looking at adopting, we are still contributing money towards our paving fund, so we're still building revenue, or not revenue, but reserves for that, so that when the time comes, we'll have some cash built up to put towards that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to say I had an amazing experience last week going to City Vision in Greenville, North Carolina. It's a great time for municipalities, it just pretty much anybody, staff or council, mayors, anybody to get together and learn. There were several classes, met with lots of other council members and mayors, and really enjoyed the experience because I love to learn, especially about municipality things. But I want to encourage all the council members next year, please go with me. It was really a great experience. And I look forward to sharing what I learned with everybody on the council. But I just wanted to say, my brain is literally, swollen with all the information that I received last week. But I did learn that a lot of the things we are going through in our town it's not like we're an anomaly. It's being experienced everywhere. A lot of towns are struggling with, financial situations right now. I actually found out that our town is pretty great compared to a lot of the other towns in this state. Just giving them the backstory about Valdese, some of them were like, man, you guys have it really good there. And that made me feel good to know that our town we're on track. We're doing some things right. Another thing that I heard was, Valdese, yeah, you're that place that just hired your new manager, Todd Herms. You guys made a really great choice with that. So I look forward to working with Mr. Herms in the next little bit, because he must be pretty good to have that many people in his or behind him. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say today.
Mr. Herms, anything you'd like to say before we end tonight?
Glad to be here.
Good. We're glad that you're here. I don't think there is a need for closed session tonight, so we'll
I move that we adjourn.
okay?
Second.
All in favor, say yes and
Yes.
raise your right hand. Yes.